And welcome to another episode of The Grumpy Old Men, where a couple of us just sit around the table complaining about the world. And in this episode, we've got a hell of a subject very dear to our hearts, censorship. And in the first chair, we've got the amazing Pinky.
G'day viewers. I wouldn't say first chair, but that's all right.
Oh, you can be
I
second
think
chair.
we're kind of equal, just like rights should be and free
yes,
speech
exactly.
should be.
But in this country, apparently not.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have any of that here, apparently.
Yeah, sadly, we've had a bit of a drama unfolding over the last month or so from a gentleman who comes from Canada, guy by the name of Billboard Chris.
Yep.
I almost called him Bill. Billboard Bill.
Bill Chrisboard.
Yeah, Bill. So he's a Canadian who's very much against transitioning children. I don't think he cares about anything else, just children. And basically his history is he decided he's going to talk to people about it. He stuck on a billboard and he walked around the streets and started talking to people and saying children cannot consent to puberty blockers at that age. Right? And, of course, there was a few interactions where he got spat on, screamed at. I think majority of the time he gets abused. I don't know if there was any physical alterations. He may have been pushed around. But otherwise, basically that's what he does. He just goes around, pushing the word, please just leave the kids alone.
Yeah, which is fair.
So recently at the end of February, he put up a post just regarding a trans person who he found a bit disturbing what he was doing. And let's bring up the post from X that he put up. And this just went through the roof. It absolutely created hysteria here in Australia. And basically, this is the post he put up. This woman, yes, she's female, is part of a panel of 20 experts hired by the WHO to draft their policy on caring for trans people. People who belong in psychiatric wards are writing guidelines for people who belong in psychiatric wards. Now, this is a link to an article that was released by the Daily Mail. So if we head over to Google, and this is the article that came out, I think, on 28th of February. And basically it was just talking about this gentleman who was an Australian, Teddy Cook, and just some of the activities he gets into. Now, the problem I have with all of this is not the trans part of it, but it's actually the censorship issue that's a big concern for me. So as soon as he put up the post, we had the Australian government, or rather eSafety, who has been helmed by a lady who used to be part of Twitter version 1. And she put up what would you call it? Not really cease and desist, a takedown order.
Yeah,
takedown order. Saying, pull it down or else you're going to get a $782,000 fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that straight away isn't a good thing because all of a sudden, what happened to free speech? And this is a quick image of the actual letter that was sent to X. Wasn't actually sent to Billboard Chris. It was sent to X. And then originally Elon said, okay, we'll take it down. But then he had a bit of a change of heart. And he basically turned around and said, hey, look, wait a sec here, because this is freedom of speech. He needs to be able to say what he wants to say. And Elon Musk has turned around and said, no, we've got to put it back up. But I'm not 100% sure because there was talk about that he took it down, but I can still see it in Australia because it still comes up on my feed.
Right.
So I'm not sure if he took it down for a short while, then reinstated it, or didn't fully, cancel it.
In the first place, yeah.
So I'm not 100% clear on that one.
But then she's in Australia, isn't she?
No, she's overseas now, but she is an Australian.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the original reason was...
I was talking about Julie Grant, by the way, when I said that. Isn't Julie Grant in Australia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
So he probably would have taken it down for Australia, more than likely. Yeah. Correct,
because the original was for... the takedown request was because Billboard Chris misgendered her. It's a she to he, misgendered him. All right, just to get that right. And the post actually degrades and mocks the gender. So that was why the initial takedown. By Billboard Chris.
No, but in what way does it mock? By misgendering?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So the rest of anything that was in the article wasn't that critical a point to her?
Well, the problem was it was just a link.
Right.
So it didn't really matter.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yep. It was the actual post. If we head back to the original post, Yes, she's a female. That's in the first word.
Yeah,
this woman.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So that's the premise of her argument.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, correct. So, so that started up a whole bunch of controversy, and Elon, being Elon, he's just turned around and said, "Okay, that's it. I'm for free speech. I'm going to sue you. You just can't do this. You can't silence people," which I totally agree.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I would agree.
So, I mean, Elon Musk suing the Australian government, how do you think that's going to go?
That's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we don't have the same sort of rights as America.
No, we don't have
But that's the thing.
Amendment.
People here in Australia walk around thinking we have freedom of speech in the First Amendment. Technically, we don't.
Mm-hmm. No, we don't. No, we don't. If we head into X again, this is the way that X responded. So earlier this week, X was ordered by the Australian eSafety Commissioner, subject to approximately 800,000 Australian fine, to remove a user's post. The post had criticised an individual appointed by the World Health Organization to serve as an expert on transgender issues. X is withholding the post in Australia in compliance with the order, but intends to file a legal challenge to the order to protect its users' right to free speech. That was March 30th, so a week ago.
See, to me, that doesn't read as a misgender issue. That to me, feels like it pertains to the last paragraph of that post.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But if we go back to the eSafety one, on the right here, delegate, where does it say? This is because the material misgenders the complainant.
It specifically says it in the letter.
Yeah,
right.
And reiterates that this point is deliberate, which let's be fair, that's what he says in the very first post.
Yep.
This woman, yes, she's female.
Yeah.
Even though she's a trans,
Gotcha.
Female to male.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which is pretty rare.
I don't know what the numbers are, but you don't hear about that very often.
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that was the issue. So, caused an absolute uproar. The problem with all this was, one, of course, we're being censored. We're being told what we can't say. And secondly, he turned it into a worldwide article.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everyone's picked it up. And a lot of conservatives picked it up in the US. You've got people like Matt Walsh who've talked about it now. And we've become, well, they're all calling us, a fascist country.
Yeah.
Exactly, how we've been looking at the US.
Yeah.
With all their censorships, with the government colluding with Twitter in the old Twitter days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a bit disastrous for our reputation. I don't think it's a good thing at all. What can you do?
I think, look, regardless of what your views are on the topic, I think you should be allowed to voice them. So I at the same time, I get the point of the letter. I mean, it felt very, it was attacking right from that very first sentence. Mm-hmm. So for me, I don't play into that side of it too much. Like, if you're going to be offended by it, well, that's the way it is. But I just think I pay more attention to the last paragraph of that than the first myself. Mm-hmm. Like I understand what the letter is saying, that deliberately misgendering someone is offensive and what have you, and I get that. But I'd be more concerned about the last sentence if I was looking at it from their perspective. So yeah. Yeah,
the problem you have is, how do you have a conversation if you're being censored?
Well, you can't. You can't. And that's my point, is like, regardless of how you feel or what you view, it shouldn't be censored.
Because we experienced it here quite badly during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
We had police going out to people that had posted, their disregard of, some of the situations and some of the decisions the government were making on Facebook. They were literally knocking on their doors and saying, hey, we saw your post.
Yeah.
Do you care to comment?
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't there that pregnant lady who
got arrested for her post?
That's right.
Well, wasn't she inciting people to riot or something, though?
Wasn't right. I think it was to demonstrate.
Or to demonstrate.
Yeah.
When we weren't allowed to demonstrate because we were in lockdown.
Oh, unless you were part of BLM. Then you're
that's right.
Then you're allowed
that's
to demonstrate.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of the rules for ye and rules for me.
Exactly.
And, so Yeah.
One of the comments I read when I was doing a bit of research here was there was this person. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was in Melbourne, and he had been attacked like 6 times from extremist group on social media, and he had complained to eSafety 6 times, or and including I think it was the police, and no one did anything about it. Yet when this came out, there was a huge uproar. $800,000 fine. I don't know where they got that number from.
Yeah.
If you know, leave it. Leave your comments in the comments. Let us know.
Interesting. I always wonder that with some of these bigger fines, where they get the numbers from. Is it just because it's a corporation, they've got a lot of money, so they can just justify an $800,000 fine? Like if they were going to actually fine Billboard Chris, would it be $800,000? Or would it be $500? You know what I mean? Do they get would it still be an $800,000 fine if he was an individual? Because I know that a lot of those sort of fines have set prices for individuals and set prices for corporations, and they're usually worlds apart. So
no, I'm pretty sure that they do have separate for corporations, because they have a bigger influence.
Yeah,
especially if you're Elon Musk, he's got 130 million followers or something.
He's definitely got some influence.
He's definitely one of the biggest. Let's have a look at this article. That's from, if I remember, it's from, where is it from? News.com. So what's that? Channel 10. Is it Channel 10?
I don't know.
Yeah. They actually talk about the whole issue, what was happening. The statement is deliberately degrading, suggests that all transgender people, and in this case the complainant in particular, have something that is wrong about their psychology owing to their gender identity. So they're really taking this on a level where it's very personal, and I don't think Billboard Chris is really attacks anybody personally. He attacks the ideology of it. Would I be right, or do you think?
Well, what you just read then plays into what I was saying before about that last sentence.
Oh, okay.
Of the post.
No. True.
He's basically, that's the way he's portraying the situation. But I don't know. I've seen a few of his posts, but I don't follow him to that degree, so I don't know.
I only started following him about a year ago.
Yeah.
If that, when he started to get a bit of blowback from the lefties, spitting on him and that type of thing.
Look, at the end of the day, regardless of your view, like I don't care what your views are on trans, but when it comes to the children, it's a different story, and I'll always stand by that, and that's where I agree with him. I don't, I'm not condoning or condemning going out there and actively, trying to degrade trans people or whatever their struggle is, whatever, but the things that are happening to children, it needs to stop. And we're seeing the pushback against that all around the world. Yeah,
that's right.
So once you turn 18 and you want to do those sorts of things, you go for it. I'll never stand in your way. But as a child, it's just not right.
Yeah. Well, in the High Court in December 2020, they actually ruled that children cannot consent.
Yep. In the High Court of the UK.
That's right, So basically, that should straight away stop any type of puberty blockers, because puberty's for kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you don't
now they're seeing the results of these things. There was a 15-year study that was just released that showed a lot of the results.
Yeah, literally days ago it came out.
Yeah. So it's not, it has a long-term effect on children who may change their mind. They're not old enough to make decisions. As I've said before, a 17-year-old boy can have sex with a 15-year-old girl and go to jail, but it's okay for a doctor to remove a 13-year-old girl's breasts. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't condone the first one, don't get me wrong. No. I'm just saying that, how can you have such an extreme rule and then you can do that, which can have a long-term effect for the rest of their life, just like puberty blockers can, by causing children to be sterile.
Apparently cancerous as well now.
Yeah, so how can that be permitted? It just doesn't make any sense. If you're over 18, knock yourself out. Like everything else in life.
Yeah, correct.
That's you're old enough to make those decisions. But as a child, and what makes it worse is you're not being able to consult with your own family about these. Or not. It's not that you're not able to. You don't have to. So you can't sit down with mum and dad and say, "Look, mum and dad, I'm going through this struggle. What do you think I should do? What do you think I can do?" You can just go to the doctor and do all this without even discussing it with your family.
Yeah.
It's not,
because I remember when I went through puberty, I went through hell, absolute hell. Nothing agreed with me during that whole period.
Right. Yeah.
I was wild. And that study that you just mentioned, the majority of the people actually grow out of it once they get past puberty.
Yeah.
But once you start adding puberty blockers to it, it destroys your body forever.
You don't have that option.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Right. There's bound to be some that will come to the end of that period in their lives as young adults and go, you know what, this is for me. You're like, well, that's great if that's your path. But we're condemning these children to a life they may not want if we advocate for these things at an early age.
Yeah, correct. The ones that said, okay, I'm going to take it because I don't feel right, but then come out of it going, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. They're done. They are done.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Now.
There's no way of fixing anything.
And that's why I think, you know, and that's the angle Billboard Chris is taking as well from what I see. That's what I think. It's about the kids.
Yeah. Well, everything I've seen, he's always talking about the kids. He doesn't agree with that type of ideology at all. Just leave him alone.
Yeah.
And I think any sane person would just say, leave the kids alone. That's it. Do whatever you want after that. Just leave the kids alone. You know?
Well, I think that's why. I think that's why he's making this particular point with this particular person, because you look at what just happened recently in South Australia with the Year 9 girls in South Australia with they had an outside company come in to teach them some sexual education in their class, and they went through the different, you know, stereotypical, you know, list of sexual education, you know, male, female. Then they get into the, you know, gay, straight, lesbian side of things, and they go into the trans side of things, and they brought up bestiality. Started talking about bestiality in the classroom in front of a bunch of, you know, Year 9 girls, and the girls were making excuses to leave the room. Oh, I've got to go to the toilet, I've got to this, and not coming back. And they were, you know, I know that all that stuff's on the internet, and there are people out there saying, oh, but you know, they're in Year 9, they would have seen all that stuff on the internet by now. Well, not necessarily. No, that's. I think that's, you know, I think that's where Billboard's Chris, his angle is on all of this. It's not about that person, that particular person, and you know, her decisions to become a man. I don't think that's his target. I think his target is deeper than that, because didn't that person help write rules and regulations around the LGBTQ community? Yeah.
I think that's part of his job with who? They write policy or they organise policies, something like that, And that's why Billboard Chris was jumping up and down.
Yeah, and a lot of these policies lean towards letting children, you know, go down those paths, and I think that's what his angle is on all this. Yeah.
Because they think it's okay, and that's the problem. You're pointing people that the consensus between them is it's good to do it. It's okay. It'll save their lives, where they have no evidence of that. Yeah, you need to have people that objectively look at it and go, okay, is it good? Is it not? Let's do the research. Let's find out. Yeah. Instead, you've got these people that are coming in with affirmative action. It's not you don't want affirmation. That's not how it works. You need to go in there unbiased and go, okay, let's discuss this. Let's work it out. Yeah. Hence why, well, like I mentioned, the High Court have changed their mind. A lot of European clinics are closing down now because they're shit scared of being sued. Because they've, you know, what's probably the worst story I've heard, where I think there was this young girl. She had a 45-minute interview with the specialist, and the specialist said, you need a mastectomy, basically. You need to be chopped up.
Is that the one where she went in with the hidden microphone? Or was that a different thing?
I think so, there was one I think so, because there's been a number of them, but this particular one, I'm not sure if it was, I can't remember now if it was after the fact that she had the consultation, went through the process, then regretted it, and now is
sorry, yeah, that's someone who's actually transitioned. Yeah, okay, I'm talking about something else.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. No, it's pretty horrific. Like we keep saying, just leave the kids alone. Yeah. And of course, the project jumped onto it, Channel 10. But they actually did a pretty good job. It wasn't too bad. I mean, they had the usual, you know, lefty slant because they're Channel 10. Yeah. And but overall, they kind of criticised the lady from eSafety. Let me bring up her name.
You're talking about Julie Grant.
Julie Inman Grant. That's right. Yeah. Sorry.
Is that a middle name or is it hyphened?
I don't know. It's no hyphens there.
I keep leaving it out.
Yeah. So, yes, and they basically said, why would you do that? Why would you be taking that post down in the first place? It was a bit too far. It was a bit of an overreach, which surprised me coming from the project. So
yeah.
I kind of went, oh, okay. The initial interview they did with Chris was almost 12 minutes long, and what they aired was less than 5 minutes. And but they still, obviously you're not going to do a whole 11 minute when their segments are 5 minutes. So what they aired was pretty good.
He even said, because I remember before the interview, he said that people were saying to him, just be careful, it could be a hatchet job. And he said, oh, that's okay, because I'm recording the entire thing myself with the intention of replaying it.
He said he was prepared.
And that's right. And now that it's come out, he's actually said, well, he's actually quite happy with the interview.
Yeah.
So, maybe because they knew bury them.
They kept the important bits in there, which is good, which is what he's been pushing.
But what's bizarre is what the post that he's got that is being requested to be taken down. There are worse things out there than that. There are that are not being. I guess it depends on who approaches the topic and from what angle. And I'm sure didn't we discover that she's somehow related to him or in a friend way?
Correct.
Not
yes.
by blood.
Yeah. His name's Teddy Cook. Her name's Julie Inman Grant, and they previously worked together drafting eSafety, the very department she works for, their LGBTQ plus Voices Online report. So yes, they work together.
Yeah.
So the big I don't know if you call it conspiracy or not, but is the fact because they know each other. As soon as he got attacked, she jumped onto it with the takedown order.
Yeah.
Which when you kind of look back, kind of go, okay. And especially when I just mentioned that story about that guy who got attacked 6 times and eSafety did nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's selective prosecution.
Yeah.
Which happens everywhere nowadays.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, look at we were just discussing before with J.K. Rowling and what's happening over there. So the post that she put up, because as soon as those laws came into place about hate speech, she put that post up with multiple. There were multiple posts, I think it was. Someone might want to correct me or point me in the right direction, but she put up multiple images of people with comments about them and then said to the police, well, now come after me. Yeah. Come and arrest me.
Yeah.
See how that goes through.
Then they turned around and said, no, we won't.
She's basically ready to play the martyr, throw herself under the bus, and then they just said, oh, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, because they'll be exposed so much because it'll just go viral worldwide.
Oh, you can imagine. You can imagine. Yeah. Their response already did. So imagine if they'd actually tried to do that. But, that also brings into question how important are these laws. I think what she did was right. I'm on her side on this one. But at the same time, if they're going to have that law and she's allowed to do that and the police aren't going to arrest her, what was the point of the law in the first place?
Yeah, correct.
Is this just another waste of taxpayers' money and more overreach and regulation that's not really needed? Or are they keeping this one up their sleeve until they've got someone that they actually want to go after?
But how do you define it? That's the problem. How do you define hate speech?
Yeah.
And how far down the rabbit hole are you going to go?
That's right.
Are you going to charge me because I'll say something, I don't like the colour of your beard. Yeah. You got too many grey hairs, young pinky.
Which is true. Should I sue you for it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It has to get to a point, you need clear laws that say, okay, these are the particular words that create hate speech.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is you're now governing what people can say or say not.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So how deep does this rabbit hole go?
There was a famous advocate for free speech in the UK, which is John Stuart Mill. If you're going back 200 years now, or more. So it's not a new thing, right? So he was around in the I think it was about 1720s, 1730s, somewhere around there. And
that's like 300 years
That's
ago.
what I mean. That was a long time ago. So people think this is all a new thing. It's not. There were problems with free speech back then. And he was a huge free speech advocate. And he was one of the people who basically had a very similar view as Elon Musk, where you should be allowed to say whatever you like as long as you're not inciting violence and saying, kill this person, death to that person, go beat these people up. So he was a very strong advocate for free speech, but he also tried to introduce a few rules where certain topics were still censored and not allowed to be said, and things around like pimps and prostitutes, for example. So one of the things that he said at the time, something along the lines of, that pimps that would go out and actively try to solicit people for their prostitutes, it's almost like a form of propaganda, and so they shouldn't be allowed to go out and solicit on behalf of prostitutes and con men, people who were trying to con other people out of their money and what have you. There should be some rules and regulations around that. So he was still saying that there should be free speech in those areas, but we have to be very careful about what we consider free speech. So even 300 years ago, we were still having the same argument. The topics were slightly different, but it was the same argument. What constitutes free speech, and where do we draw the line? And that argument's never going to go away.
The biggest issue I think we have now is we have a generation of people that actually don't know the history. They haven't been taught the whole gambit of the historical issues that we've had. They've basically been taught what to think rather than how to think, and what they think is good. But the problem is it isn't. Hence why we've gone down so far with censorship. We've gone down with ideologies have become so one-sided. Just it's an absolute mess, and it's good news is the pendulum is swinging. We can see that happening.
We're definitely seeing that. New rules in the UK regarding some of this stuff. Some of the states in the US. There's definitely a movement back in the right direction, and I don't think any of those people that are creating those shifts, I don't think any of them are trying to stop anybody from being trans. Again, it's back to what we discussed at the start of the show. I don't think it's got anything to do with saying you can or can't be trans. That's totally up to you. But again, it's about leaving the kids alone. Well, and that's the main focus that it should be. Yeah,
transgenderism is not a new thing. It's been around for a very long time.
Before the Romans.
Yeah. I used to follow an artist in the 70s, in the early 70s, and she was a transgender, and she had her name's Amanda Lear, and she was a big disco queen from, I think, Italy. Of course, it has to be Italy. And I loved her music, even though she had a really deep voice when she sang. So I never thought about it. I didn't care about it. It was just another artist.
It's not a new thing. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you. And in the 80s, we had Divine. Divine was a big trans activist.
Exactly.
Exactly. I liked her, her. I'm not sure how he actually labelled himself in the end, but I liked his music. I didn't mind that at all. It's got nothing to do with that, and it's not a personal thing. I've got no issue with anyone over 18 who's trans, and I've got, it's just...
Yeah, correct. I mean, this whole thing's basically... I mean, we're talking about free speech, and because of this very incendiary subject, free speech is getting a kick in the ass over it.
Yeah.
And it's, like we said earlier, it's selective. We can talk about whatever they want us to talk about, but we can't talk about what we want to talk about,
Yeah. It is still, like, there was an article the other day, or something came up in X the other day. It was a trans activist over there who was talking about going into one of the local schools and killing all the girls there.
I think I read that, yeah.
He did end up getting charged. So, and rightly so, because it was inciting violence, and he basically was saying that, the other school shootings that had happened were a good thing, and that he was going to do the same. The FBI can't stop me, the police can't stop me until it's all too late, sort of thing. And he got charged. So we can jump up and down and say that he shouldn't have been allowed to say it in the first place, which is true. That's the sort of stuff. Again, where do we draw the line? Like, are we able to say, it's okay to say this, but he shouldn't have said that?
I think, to me, words aren't violence unless it's a threat. A threat is a very different thing to me saying, okay, I don't like this, I think you're wrong, I think you're an idiot because you're driving a red car, I prefer blue cars, But if I say, I'm going to burn your car down, that's a different thing altogether. That is actually a violent threat. But me just talking about things I don't like about you or like, whatever.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that totally. I know someone who doesn't like my shirts. Okay.
Shout out to Tony for that one.
I heard it on the grapevine. But
we're going to call you Sheen.
I was wearing him before he was. Yes, I'm that old.
I like your shirts. He lives in another state, so we don't care about him. By the way, you're late on my intro. For the second time. Thanks. We've got a whiz-bang flashy intro coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course, the censorship just doesn't stop in Australia. It's happening worldwide.
Totally.
It has been for years. We've heard about the Twitter files in the US, and we just spoke about Scotland. But Brazil has hit the headline. And guess who else is involved in that one?
Same old, same old.
yeah, Mr. Elon Musk. And we were talking...
Electric Jesus, as someone called it once. Yeah.
You know, I've got a funny feeling, we talked about it earlier, that Elon Musk will not be remembered for going to Mars. He'll be remembered for saving the world for free speech.
For free speech,
yeah. That's how he'll be remembered. And that's actually a good thing.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great thing.
I think it's more important.
Yeah. He's saving literally millions of,
Yeah.
Well, not saving lives, but, giving people access to be able to talk about
I think,
things.
wasn't there something in it, just to go back one step before we get too deep into the Brazil side of things, wasn't there something about the Nazis in the US? Was that in the US?
There's always something about the Nazis.
About the freedom of speech.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Let me just, give me a sec here. Here we go,
Because it plays into that argument. I can't have rules for me and rules for you that are different when it comes to free speech. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is Scotland. After the new laws came out. Police spammed with complaints by neo-Nazis and the new Scottish hate crime laws.
So what were they actually complaining about? That's what I'd like to know. Is it because people were being mean to them because they're Nazis?
Oh, because they can't say, I guess they can't say what they want to say.
Yeah, right.
The freedom of speech. And what's that billboard actually say? Hate hurts.
Don't know.
Yeah. See, here we go. Scotland's hate crime bill, which came into force 1st of April, has been used by far-right agitators, encouraging people to mass report complaints. Why do they keep on saying Nazis are far-right? They're not.
They're not.
They're leftists.
They're left fascists.
How do you think they got their name, the Nazis? Yeah. They're socialists.
Socialists.
New socialists or something.
Yeah.
That's how they got their name in the first place. Numbnuts. Anyway, that's another issue. But yeah, so I just find that, all these groups are going to come out, we want to say, we want to say hateful things.
But that's the argument. You can't have one side without the other. It's just how it is. Like you can hate Nazis, you can hate the KKK, you can have whatever view you like, but it's that old saying. What's that? I can't remember who said it. Someone famous once said years ago that, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'll fight for your right to say it. And that's been a philosophy of many for a long time.
That's what they did in the last few world wars. That's what it was all about freedom. So anyway, on Brazil, because you can't keep a good man down.
And by the way, I do hate the Nazis.
Of course we do.
Piss off.
Yeah, but they had great uniforms. Don't you think they had great uniforms?
Oh, some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, they were very well tailored, those guys.
They were. And who was that? Who was the tailor?
Jews.
No, it was Hugo Boss. Thank you very much.
Oh,
so all you guys walk around in your Hugo Boss clothes. Just remember.
I remember now. Yes. I read that years ago as well. Hugo Boss.
Yep.
But no, they were very well dressed, but geez, they were nasty people.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, back to Brazil, because we digress as we always do.
Yes.
So now,
segue
if you're not aware what happened in little old Brazil, a country that's been under dictatorship for many years, on and off. They're currently going through another period of dictatorship, but not from the president, but from their supreme judge. Yep. I forget it. What's his name again? Alexandra something. Supreme Court Judge Alexandre de Moraes. Sorry for mispronouncing.
We need to make up a crooked name for him so it's easier to remember.
Judge Sinister. We'll call him Judge Sinister.
Judge Sinister.
Yeah. Now he's actually turned out to be one of the most powerful men in the country, and he's just throwing out laws left, right, and centre.
Still blows me away though. Like, what power has he got over the Prime Minister that he can...
Well, he's censoring half his cabinet. January last year, what was it, early January or something, 2023, he decided, look, I've got a whole bunch of ministers here. Are they senators or ministers, whatever? And he said, okay, I'm going to throw you off social media. And we're not talking about one platform. We're talking about Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. In the end, Rumble just said, "Bad luck. We're not giving you the service there in Brazil." And he just said, "You're not allowed to go on those platforms." Yet he's on Twitter.
I was going to say, he's still got his own Twitter account, though.
Correct. And so just recently, a whole bunch of exposés come out from X, and it was calling out the judge and some of his really bad decisions. And basically Elon has been saying, some of the decisions are very fascistic. Okay. And the way his censorship is very aggressive. Now, we'll bring up the X file here. And it's all started...
See, Segway King, I just have to say, do you reckon that's why he changed it to X? Because he likes the X files? And now people are going to use that term?
Well,
sorry.
That's what they should have called it, when they released...
I'm here for the segues.
Yeah. Well, they said they should have called them the X files, not the Twitter files. Yeah. But it happened under Twitter, not under X.
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
Anyway,
it all started with this Michael Schellenberger. He released a whole bunch of statements saying how corrupt the Supreme Court has become and the rulings he's done. And like I mentioned, he pulled a whole bunch of people from social media, effectively just criticising the government. So the Judge Sinister, decided to jump on board and basically attack Elon Musk. And the way Elon responded, originally they took down the restrictions, took down the posts, and then Elon said, "Bugger it, that's it, I'm reposting them." And he stated on, yesterday, April 7th, that we are lifting all restrictions. This judge has applied massive fines, threatened to arrest our employees and cut off access to X in Brazil. As a result, we will probably lose all revenue in Brazil and have to shut down our office there. But principles matter more than profit.
Yeah.
Now, that's a hell of a stance, but the good thing is, it's his company. He doesn't have shareholders. So he can say, okay, I'm prepared to lose money.
That's right.
But if he doesn't stand up, who's going to stand up?
No, that's right.
Who's going to fight this fight? And it is a fight. It's a very honourable fight. Elon, how much do you reckon he will lose? I mean, we're talking about Brazil. Still got to be millions and millions and millions.
Look, to be honest, I agree with everything you're saying, but at the same time, he's not going to lose anything. You know that.
You reckon?
That one post got 14.6 million views already. I think he's going to... I think this is another one of those circumstances where even financially, the means justifies the ends. If he makes these sort of statements, everybody just sits on the edge of their seat waiting to see the result. Yeah. So you can imagine the traffic now, just on that topic alone. So I don't think he's going to lose money.
Yeah.
Even if he no longer makes revenue from there.
Well, Rumble a year ago said, we're not interested in Brazil anymore, so we just closed down. They don't care anymore. YouTube will play because they bend the knee. They'll do whatever the lefties tell them to.
Yeah.
But Elon's the champion for free speech at the moment.
I think he's absolutely doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think for 1 second he's going to lose any money.
Isn't it funny how 5 years ago, he was the darling of the left. They loved him, because he's a champion for environmental issues, the electric car, and he's going to space, and all these things. But as soon as he starts talking about free speech, buys X, because he was missing, who was that parody account? I forget the name of it now. But he used to follow this parody account, and they got deplatformed. And he cracked the shit, so he said, "Oh, look, I'm gonna buy Twitter because I want this account reinstated."
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a whole bunch of other.
I'm sure there's a lot of other reasons, but
more
it's
financial
a good focal point. Yeah, for sure.
So, I wish I could remember that. Whoever it is now. Anyway, I want to remember it now, but I can't remember it. Anyway,
it'll come.
And all of a sudden, everyone's attacked him, and I was one of the first ones to jump on there and actually post. Elon, they're going to come for you now. Not that he saw my post, but I hashtagged him.
Greg in Australia said, so I better be careful. Yeah.
Listen to me, because you know,
We're on
the
the
word.
money. Yeah.
And sure enough, they came at him. They had the government doing audits on him, and his car company was being audited, and everyone attacked him on the left. Absolutely hammered him.
They tried to get Don Lemon to make him look stupid.
Oh, how well did that turn out? Go and check out one of our previous episodes on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that was 3 episodes ago, whatever.
Have you seen the ratings of his show? See, I told you I'm the Segway King. I'm sorry, I've done it again. But have you seen the ratings on Don Lemon's show?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so
actually, just give me a sec. I'll bring him up. Because
it shows what happens when you play with Elon Musk. The guy don't play. Having said that, though, it wasn't him that did it.
Oh, he did it to himself.
He did it to himself.
Yeah. I mean, the very first episode, he's got Elon Musk, 180 million viewers, subscribers on Twitter. I've actually, because I reposted it at one stage. Just give me a sec, I'll find it. Man, I've got so much stuff here. You can check me out at GrumpyMan2020 on Twitter. I'm there, just reposting. Here we go. All right, let's just click into that. This is Don Lemon's figures. First episode, just under 2.5 million. And he's down to 24,000 by episode 5.
Yep. See what happens when you try to piss on an electric fence? That's what this is. Yeah. You know that's an electric fence, but you still got to try and piss on it. And look what happens.
Wow. Oh, what a drop. And just, including me. I mean, I cringed when I watched that episode. I said, it's in a previous episode. Go check it out because, it's got some fun stuff in there. But from 2.5 million to 24,000, what's that? That's what? 1,000% drop or something?
Yeah, 100% drop. Oh, 1% retained.
Yeah. Well, I've got a headliner here saying Brazil versus Musk. Supreme Court opens probe for obstruction of justice. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, so I just wanted to also point out this little meme. And this is... on the left is Klaus Schwab. He's the head of WEF, World Economic Forum. He started. He's the one that wants to control everything about your life.
Yep.
What's that saying? You will own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the guy on the right is the judge. Boy, do they look like
so nefarious,
super villains.
Aren't they? Yeah, they're so nefarious.
He's got a cape. He's literally got a cape.
Yeah, it's almost like Mike Myers had a premonition with Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
Because now look at what we have.
Yeah. They're such caricatures, aren't they?
I can't believe anybody would dress like that. I don't care how elite you are and how disconnected. There are people that are elite and well off and can do whatever they like because who's going to say anything or do anything?
Yeah, correct.
But even still, I still can't believe anyone would dress like that. Literally like a supervillain.
But it's such a cliche. I mean, that photo of him on the left just went viral because it literally looks like a supervillain out of, one of those old cheesy movies, those B-grade movies. What a waste. Anyway, so, I'm just reading through some of the comments there from... This is what I think of them both. Do you want to bring that up for a sec? There we go. That's what we think of them. I agree with you, Planet of Memes.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, so anyway, that's pretty much on our censorship there. Any word on JK recently? What she's planning to do? Is she going to fight him or?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't think she's got anything to fight. They're not coming after her.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think she's going to stir the pot a bit more?
I don't know. I think she said her piece. We'll see. I don't know. I think she said her piece. I think that was enough for her. She just wanted to prove a point. I think. That's my view. But yeah, I don't know. She's not. She's always stood her ground on her own beliefs.
Yeah,
but she's not. But at the same time, she's not exactly a shining beacon for anything. She just she has her own views and they're strong views, and most people would agree with them. But she's not out there actively attacking anybody.
Yeah, which she never did it right from the start.
Correct.
Of the issues. Yeah.
So which is why I think she said her piece. She's made her point. They didn't come after her, and so that's her finger to the.
but like myself, if they didn't come after me, I'd be pushing that barrier a little bit further.
Maybe.
But that's me.
But then you're more provocative than that. So she's probably not as provocative as you.
I don't know. She's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, but I don't think anything that she's done has been intentionally provocative. I think most of it's been in self-defence.
Yeah.
When you really look back through it, it's she makes a comment, and then next thing you know, she gets slaughtered. So she's got to defend herself.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's actively going out there after anybody in particular. You know.
Do you think with free speech, do you think we're going to get it back, or do you think they got it our throats?
Not in Australia. Yeah. Not in Australia. Look at what's just happened a week ago with the new digital ID.
Yeah,
that's being pushed through. And
but that's voluntary at the moment. That's the big thing.
I mean, they've just done in the middle of doing a test run in, I think it's in Ballarat or somewhere, where several thousand. No, but
viewers.
They've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Is it 6,000? 15,000. There you go. Just from our adjudicator over here. 15,000 people that have now switched to a digital driver's license, so they don't have to carry their driver's license anymore. So this is the start of all of this creeping in. You know, the digital ID thing. Where it'll all get linked together. And the scariest thing about that is not like everything that we see, you know, that comes to fruition. It's usually started with the idea of it making life simpler and easier. It's usually the premise of all of this. Oh, it's going to be much easier if you just don't have to worry about taking your wallet. Everybody takes their phone. So if you've got a digital ID on your phone, you can just show that to a police officer. And apparently there's a QR code or something that comes up. They've got X amount of minutes to confirm that that's the correct person. Otherwise, they can be charged. I don't know the whole details. We might touch on that on another episode, because I'm really concerned about all that digital ID stuff. But it starts like that. And the next thing you know, it's connected to something else and connected to something else. And next thing you know, you don't need your Medicare card. You don't need this. You don't need a passport. You don't need all these other different things, which is... Again, it's all so convenient. But then all of a sudden, you need that digital ID to log into Twitter or log into, you know, any other platform where you can have a bit of anonymity, where you don't necessarily have to tell people who you are. Unless someone goes out of their way to dox you, people wouldn't know who you are. But as soon as they connect that together, then the government's able to come after you in the manner they're already trying to do. I mean, look at America; they're already going up. They've got people rocking up on people's doors announcing that they're the FBI and here to question you about your post, because those people probably use their own name in their, you know, in their Facebook account or what have you, which 90% of people would do in your Facebook account. But you know, they're able to just go, oh, this is so and so from this neighbourhood. We're going to go knock on the door. There's a lot of platforms where you can stay anonymous. You won't be able to do that anymore once you have to use your ID.
But we already have that to an extent, because at the moment the police, all they have to do is scan your number plate and they can bring up all your details. Your licence comes up on their screen with your photo. That's why we no longer have those stickers on our windscreens anymore. Yeah,
but I don't think it's all interconnected. Like the Internet of Things is what's coming. You know, where we all think that, you know, there's a good connection using 5G between all different products around your home. These TVs have cameras in them now and things like that. I mean, look at what's happening with vehicles. You know, they've just discovered there was a guy in the UK. This is only in the last week or so, who took his vehicle in. I think it was a Hyundai Iconic or something. Yes. And he took it in to get some, you know, repairs done or what have you. And they upgraded his software. They upgraded his software while he was there. So. Apparently he's a bit of a nerd, likes to read a lot of stuff. So he sat there and read the terms and conditions. Who does that? Everyone just goes, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I do.
30 pages in, like I would have fallen asleep by then, but 30 pages in, he found some information in there about geofencing and geo-timing, where, you know, his vehicle can be... they can switch on a function where the vehicle can't drive past a certain point.
Yep.
Now, this ties into all these 15-minute cities that they're creating in the UK, and that Dan Andrews was trying to do here in, I think it was Brunswick and somewhere around that area. So north of the city, he was trying to create 15-minute cities here, but he's calling them 20-minute cities. I don't know, same thing. But you won't be able to leave that zone, or it'll be connected to time. So when it gets to 7 p.m. and there's a curfew, you can't turn your car on. Well, these things will all be able to be activated remotely, and vehicles from about 2016 have this incorporated. Now, if you put up a post on Facebook and you say something, like that post that we talked about at the head of the show, misgendering somebody or something like that, and then they turn your car off.
Yeah, that is a big concern.
It sounds extreme,
for me. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's a possibility. As soon as it becomes a possibility, and we know from past experience, when things like that are a possibility, they become an eventuality, and that's what we're looking forward to in the future.
They could find all sorts of reasons to switch off your car to stop you from travelling.
Totally.
Of course, you've got your obvious, illegal things like if somebody steals a car, they can switch it off.
Sure.
They can't get away.
Sure.
But you've also got, if you say the wrong thing, they could go, okay,
that's where it's a problem.
We're going to shut you down.
That's where it's a problem. If you're driving down, like you said before, they can scan your license plate. I'm sure that technology is right around the world, not just in Australia, it's everywhere, where they can scan multiple license plates at once as they're driving through traffic. They do it in car parks. They drive through car parks and scan all the parked cars looking for particular people. So they can scan that information, see who you are, who the vehicle belongs to, etc. And if you're not licensed, they'll come after you. You shouldn't be driving your vehicle, right? If your registration's expired, they'll come after you. You're driving an unregistered vehicle. And that I don't have an issue with, because if you're going to break the law, then there are consequences. That's life. But should that then be connected in a way where someone can say, like Julie Inman Grant can say, this person put up a post that I don't like, so then get the police to scan license plates, find the person, turn off their vehicle. Well, how did we get to that point? That's inevitable, And I know a lot of people don't think that'll happen, but
I do.
There's a lot of things in the past that we didn't think would happen, and they were right around the corner. They're sneaking up on everybody because, again, it's about convenience. They're trying to make it sound super convenient, and now we're just giving them more and more control.
Yeah. Well, the selling point of 15-minute cities is the fact that everything's within 15 minutes.
Come on, when does that happen?
Well, depends on where you live. If you live in the city, everything is within 15 minutes.
No, I disagree. I think if you live in the sticks, maybe, right? Because you look at tight-knit outer communities, like you go somewhere like Ballarat, as we discussed. I'm only using that as a reference because we've already been discussing Ballarat. That's such a big city, but it probably only takes you about 15 minutes to get from one side to the other. Within that zone, you're not going to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, into Melbourne when you've got alternatives to whatever it is you need to purchase or do in Ballarat. So in those rural areas, you're more likely to not need to leave that city, right? I've spoken to people that have lived in areas like Bendigo. They go, I've never been to Melbourne. You've never been to Melbourne?
But 15-minute city doesn't just refer to the size of the city. It's a district. It's an area.
Well, it's a travelling time.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
It's a travelling time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about how Melbourne works. 15-minute city in Melbourne is one suburb. Because how bad the traffic is in Melbourne. You wouldn't get from the city to Chadstone. So the zones would be very tight if we're literally working on time. But you go out into the sticks in 15 minutes, it might not get you to the next town over, but it'll get you anywhere within your own town. I totally agree.
So my point is, us living in the city, everything is within 15 minutes, okay? But it doesn't mean we want to stay within that distance. I may want to visit you. You live in the middle of bumfuck, so that's a little bit further than 15 minutes. Sorry, I swore. This is an adult show, so it's a little bit further than 15 minutes, which means I can't visit you.
Well, you're allowed to make X amount of trips per. The way it works in the UK, they're structuring it to work in the UK, is you're allowed to make X amount of trips per year. I think it might be as high as 90 outside the zone.
Oh, jeez.
Right, but any more than that, you have to get a permit. So they're not stopping you from travelling. They're not saying you'll never be able to travel. They're just restricting it all and reducing it all. And that's the target at the moment, is that if we can create a city where you don't need to go more than 15 minutes, everything's at your fingertips, and then you might travel 90 days out of the year, you might leave that area to go and visit a relative or a friend. So sounds like a great model. But my issue is that it gives them too much control. I don't think that issue on its own is a bad model.
Agree.
I mean, it's not a great model. I don't want to have any restriction, but I don't see that as, you can't leave this 15 minutes ever and you 1 weekend a year. And I don't see that. But giving them the option to do that is a dumb move right from the start.
Look, I totally agree. I'm all for if somebody steals my car, switch off the car so they can't get away with it.
Yeah.
But if I want to go somewhere, don't stop me from doing it.
Correct.
Including if I've stolen the car.
Especially not over a Facebook post.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
And that's where the digital ID all ties in together.
Yeah. But that's the problem with governments. They always want more control.
Totally.
They keep on adding. There's so many laws that have been added in the last 100 years that it's mind-boggling some of the things that are still on the books.
Yeah.
They never go back and they take away some of the laws.
Yeah.
You know, there's one particular law where when the first cars came out, that a person had to walk in front of the car with a red flag.
Yeah, that's right.
That's still in place. That's still there. You know, it was never ever removed. So that's God. My partner's car probably needs somebody in front of it.
As a warning to the people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Woman driver.
But people don't. You know. Yeah. What happens when they come? 20 years from now, and go, oh, by the way, now that everyone's got their own ID number, and it links to everything in your life, wouldn't it be easier if you just had a QR code on your wrist?
Mm. Well, they're talking about it at birth, aren't they?
If we tattoo you all as soon as you're born? You know what? We should assign that number the minute you're born. So on your actual birth certificate, it says, your full name and then your number.
Mm. Yeah, don't be surprised.
Doesn't sound familiar? No?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's pretty much it for us, eh?
Hang on. Weren't we going to talk about some movies?
Absolutely.
Have we got time?
How long have we been going? We've been going for longer than an hour.
Oh, really?
What we'll do, we'll leave that for the next episode, which is coming up in a couple of days.
Couple of days' time.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic little chat today. Really enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
We're here every Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, share the video. If it's your first time here, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for sticking around to the end. In the meantime, it's goodbye for young Grumpy and
goodbye from Pinky. See you on the next one.
Ciao.